AI is getting rid of so many jobs. Supposedly, that's what people are saying in the news, that's what people are saying in person, but there's been studies and research saying the same. We're going to cover a lot of these studies and research and tell you what we can do about it, whether it's true or not, and let's just get started. My name is Will, and I've been working 9 years for agencies as a digital marketer, and I help different people who are starting out get their first jobs in digital marketing. So let's start off with a few studies. Anthropic's CEO says AI could wipe out 50% of entry-level white-collar jobs in as little as 5 years from now. WEF 2025 said that 41% of employers plan to shrink their workforce by 2030 due to AI. And McKinsey said 30% of work hours may be automated by 2030. Now, some people in the community are saying you can't automate your way to infinite profits if no one can afford what you're selling. They're basically saying if you take away all the employees and you just automate your stuff, but no one is getting paid a salary, how are they even going to afford the things you've outsourced? I think this was like a very upvoted comment in another video. That's more of an emotional reaction. I think that's more of a macroeconomic thing. The point is, it's a very scary time and people are reacting in different ways, making projections, outraged responses like that. And what do you actually do about this and what's actually true? Now, I've not just looked at studies, but I've talked to a lot of real people in the last few weeks who are pretty established in their careers. One woman I've talked to works in finance AI in New York City, and another I talked to works in investment banking in Dubai. And both of these people, when I asked them, they told me that all non-manual labor jobs are going to be outsourced in the next 5 years, or at least most of them. And knowledge workers are screwed because AI is going to be able to do everything. And the one thing left are these kind of manual labor jobs that are very hard for AI to basically outsource. On the flip side, I've talked to people who are programmers and developers, and one of them, at least one of them, told me recently that no, it's the opposite. All manual labor jobs that no one wants to do, like clean the toilets, are going to be solved by AI. So we're going to have a robot that's going to clean our toilets. So what's really the answer? Well, the answer is the same. They're just different projections of how it's going to play out, which is that anything that can be replaced by AI at a much cheaper cost will be. Will this be knowledge workers or manual labor? Who knows? I mean, maybe programming an AI to clean a variety of different toilets with different stains and stuff is a lot harder than people think it's going to be, and that's going to stay. And maybe there's some knowledge work or semi-knowledge work that requires some manual labor that's just not going to be easy to replace. And this is probably going to be like the top 1%, maybe the leaders of companies, the people like Ajit Jain who run like Geico and know how to do all this complex math calculations and these decisions. I asked AI myself, and ChatGPT says, oh, it's going to be the things that AI have a hard time outsourcing that require skills like creativity, empathy, leadership, and strategy. But then I've talked to real people, like that girl who works in finance and AI, and she's like, well, no, those creativity can be outsourced. And the guy who who's working in banking, he's like, what is creativity at the end of the day? It's really just coming up with new combinations of things that haven't been thought of before. AI is just going to try out all the combinations. So creativity isn't even that unique. So really, it's hard to say. I mean, we are seeing a shift in how many people are being laid off. They're being laid off in waves, and it's not like half the market. It's maybe like 10%, which is still a reckoning. I mean, some people are saying that a reckoning is coming in the next 5 years. So let's look at some more of the news and research, and then we'll go back to my own thoughts after doing a lot of on the boots ground networking to discuss these concepts with people. So jobs are rising and falling. There's a growing trend for AI and ML specialists, cybersecurity, green energy, care work, education. And there's been a decline in admin assistants, data entry, bank tellers, customer service reps, entry-level jobs, which is kind of scary for a lot of the new college grads entering the workforce, where there's now a kind of lack of entry-level jobs because AI can do that. Like any type of entry-level job on the marketplace now is being outsourced by AI. So those junior roles don't exist. Now, there's obviously gripes about this, such as the fact that if you're entry level, and this was another upvoted comment in a social media post I saw, if all the entry level junior jobs are gone, then what are the managers and senior level people going to manage? There's no team to manage them. And another upvoted comment I saw, another gripe was saying, well, this isn't going to be the case because 50 years ago, there's all this new technology coming out and data boards and computers, and people were scared all the jobs would be replaced. But those new industries and new hardware and computers created new jobs that replaced the old jobs. While this may be the case, and history can repeat itself or rhyme, one could argue AI is not necessarily the same game as well, because those previous past eras, agriculture, industrial revolution, all those things were not as game-changing, internet age, as AI. So who's to say that the same thing will happen where an equal amount of the old jobs are going to be replaced by the equal amount of the new jobs? So, okay, what can you do to kind of hedge yourself? Well, think about the jobs that are very hard to replace. Oncologists, doctors, surgeons, people who have built large networks and their jobs rely on the network. I was talking to that banker I was talking about, and he's like, 80% of what I'm doing now is going to be replaced. AI is smarter, it can do it, but the one thing it can't do is my network. I've built a network of customers, leads, people who can help me build my business and sales. So those are the things that, I mean, it's a really scary time, but those are the things you can try and double down on. And maybe creativity and empathy and authenticity are still something that people care about. I've talked to a lot of people during a few of these like AI networking events where we just discuss news about AI, and many seem to be more optimistic than the people I've privately talked to, maybe ignorantly so, or maybe they're right, but they're like, no, AI is not going to replace everyone. We're simply going to use these tools to improve and enhance our jobs. So we're all going to keep our jobs, but we're just going to be enhancing and improving it, and it's going to be a hybrid model where we're cyborgs and using AI in every field. Content creation, music making, programming. Is that true? I mean, we will see. Entry-level jobs are skill boot camps for the next generation of leaders. Remove them and the talent pipeline collapses. There's going to be a shortage of senior staff. Wage growth for young professionals fell by 1.8% in 2024 versus 2.4% overall. So the bigger conversation is it's not just about AI, but it's also about corporate priorities, the general common drives of humans and people to increase revenue, lower costs, and it's going to be a new world where I think there's going to be a lot of 1 or 5 person companies, small lean businesses doing a lot more than they would, and CEOs are choosing to replace people with AI. But at the same time, I'm still seeing job postings for a lot of the traditional roles. I mean, you would think certain things like ad buyer, media buyer, social media manager, social media coordinator are being just taken away, but I'm still seeing a lot of these job postings on the market, albeit I'm seeing less of them and there's a less of a supply. But I'm also not seeing like half the workforce at a lot of these companies and corporations being cut immediately. So clearly AI may have been overhyped to a degree. So, maybe there's a bit of politics being played where some of these people are trying their best to keep these jobs, even though they could be outsourced. But I'm not really seeing a drastic cut, but we are seeing small skimmings, 5%, 10% going on. And so we'll see how these trends play out. Will they continue to cut over the next 5 years? What this means for you, I mean, skills matter more than degrees. I mean, this has been the trend, but it's going to continue. Your degree is not really going to matter that much unless you work at a Ivy League college. I still see a tremendous bias to hire people who went to Ivy League schools, tremendous bias to invest in Ivy League founders versus non-Ivy League founders and their new companies. But still, skills like emotional intelligence, empathy, leadership, adaptability are going to matter more than which college you went to and which degree. And then you're going to have to future-proof your roles based on things like skills that will still be important, as I've mentioned. And reskilling is non-negotiable. I've seen a few people complain, really moping and whine that, oh, I trained in this skill, comp sci, and now I have to retrain in another, and I don't want to do it. Well, the people who are not going to be left behind are the ones who are going to be reskilling and improving their workforce. So no jobs. I don't know if it's going to be a situation where there's going to be 0 jobs ever in the workforce. I think it's a situation where corporations can't ignore the trend to stay competitive. They're going to have to adopt AI. But then I have faith that there's plenty of jobs, not as many as before, but there's still going to be some jobs where your soft skills, your skills, if you double down on the right skills, are going to be hard to replace. And what I'm seeing at a lot of these marketing agencies is not really necessarily like a massive cut. There's still plenty of people, graphic designers, marketers, media buyers, account managers, project managers who are still employed, but we are seeing that small skimming that's becoming a larger skimming over time, 5, 10%, 15%, 20% cuts. But still, we're seeing hiring as well. Not as much hiring as before, but still a lot of people intact with their jobs. So what can you do, really? I think this is a reckoning. This may be one of the biggest reckonings that's occurred in the last 200 years. And so there will be new jobs in the marketplace. There will be new things. I would recommend even asking ChatGPT, Grok, and Perplexity itself, what can I do? What skills can I double down on to stay relevant and valuable in the marketplace? And continually ask yourself, what are some things that can make me stand out across the hundreds of other candidates applying for the same jobs that I'm after? And how can I actually stand out and double down on those jobs so that I can actually stay relevant and actually get an interview and call back and job offer? It's a tough time, and I think a lot of college graduates are having a really tough time. It's not the best job market right now. And you have to see what you can do to go the extra mile. I read this news article about this girl who basically, in her job interview, she assumed she already got the job and built this whole case study and plan for how she would run this job if she had it. And that deliverable is what secured her the job. Another thing is network and personal brand. Another reason I'm building and creating this content is because I'm building a personal brand. And so when you have a following of 10,000, 30,000, 100,000 people following you in a network, it's demonstrated skill about ability to build a personal brand in social media. And that's going to help you stand out if you are applying to jobs or in the just general future when AI just takes all our jobs. Not everyone can say, oh, I have a personal brand of like this many followers. And that's really going to kind of help you kind of stay ahead. Whereas a lot of the other job candidates are basically going to be like, yeah, I can do it, but it's all theory. There's no proof. So thanks for watching, like, comment, and subscribe, and reach out to me if you want one-on-one coaching to help you land your first job or stay relevant and get a better high-paying second job. I help people with that. Or if you're not ready for that move yet, join my free email newsletter where I give a bunch of tips. And on occasion, I offer free coaching calls as freebies to my newsletter to just help them along for free, no strings attached. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Please subscribe.